We are all improvisers, moving through life with no script, no rehearsals, and no second takes. Just a handful of guidelines and a lot of positive energy. If you know anything about the art of improv, it's likely that you know the fundamental principle of yes and. Yes and is the foundation of all improv, and it's a powerful force for positive change. It teaches active listening, confident communication, and collaboration, vital skills for healthy personal and professional lives. But much has been written and said about yes and. So I ask, what comes next? What's beyond yes and? I offer 3 less discussed, dare I say hidden, lessons of improv that have the power to transform our lives in deeper and more impactful ways. Mindfulness, discovery, and wonder. Mindfulness is a familiar concept defined by the American Psychological Association as an awareness of our internal states and surroundings through observation of our thoughts, emotions, and present moment experiences. Mindfulness in improv is similar, of course, but I find it to be more active. We're creating and performing while maintaining a state of mindfulness. And therefore, I find improv mindfulness easier to apply to my everyday life. When I was first learning improv at a theater in New Orleans, I would pump myself up before shows, preparing myself to perform in the way that I had grown accustomed to playing sports. My performance suffered. I was too active, involving myself in every scene, talking more than listening, and trying to drive the scene in the direction that I thought it should go. I was nearly unplaywithable, which is an industry term. Thankfully, a great teacher named Caitlin Marone pulled me aside one day and recommended that I relax before shows instead of trying to Rocky Balboa myself up. She suggested that I had energy to spare, which is all too true. So if I needed to get excited in a scene, I'd be able to get there. It would serve me better to be able to comprehend what was happening in the improv scene, to listen and follow instead of talk and drive. Before my next show, I sat quietly in the green room, and this simple act revolutionized the way I played. I could not only see what was happening in the scene more quickly, but I could support my troupe mates with more spontaneity and playfulness. As my pre-show ritual has evolved, I found that what I'm doing in this meditation is clearing my mind to make room for new stimuli. I check in with all 5 senses and prepare them to receive information in all of the myriad forms that it arrives in improv, whether that be through dialogue, tone, body language, stage picture, or otherwise. I'm ready to accept, yes, and add, and. This active mindfulness is also a valuable asset in my life outside of improv shows. In my personal life, I find conversations easier. I'm less anxious about getting in on the conversation, desperately trying to find my moment to talk. I listen. I add when it's appropriate, and I don't add anything when I'm not needed. I gain more from talking with others because I'm truly hearing what they're saying instead of just waiting for my turn to talk. In my romantic life, I'm able to understand more clearly what my partner needs from me when I'm being actively mindful. Does she simply need me to listen and acknowledge her emotions? Or is she hoping for support or advice on how to deal with a difficult situation? In my professional life, I'm less defensive when receiving feedback or performance reviews. I'm less precious with my contributions to team projects and more comfortable if my ideas aren't used, as long as they're received. I'm more attuned to my coworkers' moods and tendencies, and therefore better equipped to approach collaborating with each individual. Active improv mindfulness opens me up to a new, heightened way to view the world, making me more receptive to the gift of discovery. Discovery is more fun than invention. It's a saying used regularly in classes to remind students that improv is only effective as an art form when we create our scenes in the moment. Planning ahead of time or trying too hard to steer the direction of the scene will inevitably take the magic out of the experience for both the audience and the performers. Challenging and ultimately releasing our preconceptions of who we are and believing that our creativity will guide us to who we're meant to be is part of the natural process in improv training. We begin to push the idea of who we are as performers, or, as was my case, the misconception that I wasn't capable of being a performer at all. I started taking improv classes when I was 33 years old. I had just finished my first career in concert production, and while I loved being behind the scenes, helping set the stage, often literally, for others to express themselves creatively, I knew in the back of my mind that something was missing from my life. I thought back to when I was 11, 12 years old, and I had acted in a few safety videos, these corporate films that schools would use on field trips or assemblies, and I thought, maybe I would enjoy acting again. But somewhere along the line, I had convinced myself that I didn't have what it takes to be on the stage or in front of the camera, that I was meant to be behind the scenes. As much as I enjoyed that work, as much as I value that work, it just didn't fulfill me. As fate would have it, I saw an ad for improv classes, and I thought, this might be an easy way for me to see if I really had the desire and dedication to be a performer. From the first week of classes, I knew my life had changed forever. I was passionate about improv in a way I had never been about anything before. I took all the classes, all the workshops, volunteered at all the shows. Slowly, I began to realize that inside of this art form, at its very core, were the tools to transform the way that I felt about myself and what I was capable of. I started training as an actor. I started producing shows. I learned how to teach improv. I created a life centered around performance that was unimaginable just a few years earlier. Improv training forces us, by way of the very nature of the art, to be open-minded, to discover new things, and to revel in that experience with wonder. Wonder in improv is the enjoyment of the process of discovering new things while being actively mindful. As improvisers, we create brand new worlds with each other, each and every scene. And we want to discover those worlds with a childlike wonder and fascination. Think about what it was like to be a child. The world is new. Everything's amazing. How do those giants walk on their 2 feet? What are those noises coming out of their head? Chocolate tastes incredible. That's the energy we try to tap into when we're doing improv. I was an intense young man. I did not approach the world with a childlike wonder and fascination. I often got compared to Henry Rollins. He's kind of like the disappointed father figure of the punk rock community. I was wound too tight. I took things too seriously, and I had such a hard time having fun, even when I was doing things that I enjoyed, because I was too concerned with controlling the outcomes. I couldn't find a way to approach things with wonder and joy. Now, in improv, without fail, the scenes that are the most difficult to create are the least successful. The ones that come to us easily are always the best. And it's because if we can tap into wonder and discover the scene with that energy, we're along for the ride with the audience. We're surprised when they're surprised. We're grossed out when they're grossed out. We're impressed when they're impressed. The more I did improv, the more I was able to tap into that sense of wonder, the more I was able to carry that energy into my personal and professional lives. Whether that was changing careers or up and moving to Scotland, I found that the fear of the unknown was slowly replaced with an excitement for new adventures. Obstacles became opportunities for exploration. Challenges became puzzles to solve. The world became a less difficult and more interesting place when I opened myself to wonder. I genuinely believe the art of improv is for everyone. If we're all going to be improvising our way through life anyway, Why not try to approach that experience being open to discovering new opportunities and exploring those opportunities with a sense of wonder? I was fortunate enough to have had a brief moment of bravery that allowed me to challenge myself to try something new, something that was admittedly pretty scary, but whose benefits, both hidden and not, changed my life in profound and unexpected ways. Thank you.